What most men don't understand is that attraction isn't something you build from scratch. It's something that already exists in a woman's perception, and your behavior simply reveals it or hides it. Today's topic is attraction isn't built, it's revealed. Here's how. And once you understand this, you'll stop trying to force chemistry where there is none, and start recognizing what's actually being shown to you in real time. Because here's where many get it wrong. They assume effort automatically creates desire. It doesn't. It only exposes intent, confidence, and emotional presence. And those things either amplify attraction or quietly shut it down without you even noticing. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. In this breakdown, I'm going to walk you through how attraction really behaves in modern dating. Not the fantasy version, but the subtle signals most men overlook. I'll also be showing and breaking down real examples in later clips, so you can actually see what I mean, not just hear it. Pay attention closely, because once you learn to read what's being revealed instead of what you think you're building, your entire approach to dating changes. 1. Attraction already exists before effort begins. Attraction already exists before effort begins, and most men never stop to question that. They walk into a situation believing they are starting from zero, like they are meant to earn something that is completely undecided. But in reality, the decision has often already been made on a subconscious level the moment she observes you. Not based on perfection, not based on performance, but based on presence. When a woman meets you, she is not calculating effort. She is reading energy. She is noticing how you carry yourself when nothing is being asked of you. The way you enter a space, the way you speak without over-explaining yourself, the way you respond when there is no pressure to impress. All of that creates an immediate impression that either opens curiosity or quietly closes it. This is where many men misinterpret the situation. They think attraction is something that needs to be gradually built up through constant attention, long conversations, or over-investing emotionally. But if the initial spark is not there, effort doesn't create attraction. It only reveals imbalance. And on the other side, when attraction is there, it doesn't need to be forced. You'll notice it in subtle ways. Slight engagement that feels natural, not obligated. A curiosity in her tone that doesn't feel rehearsed. She starts participating instead of being persuaded. What I want you to understand is this. Attraction is never a blank page. It is a response. Your role is not to write it from scratch, but to recognize what has already been written in the first few moments of interaction. Once you stop trying to manufacture it, you start seeing it clearly, and that clarity changes everything about how you move. 2. Behavior either reveals confidence or insecurity. Behavior either reveals confidence or insecurity, and this is where most men unintentionally expose themselves without saying a single obvious thing. What you think you are communicating and what is actually being received are often two completely different messages. And in modern dating, people rarely respond to words alone. They respond to patterns. When a man is grounded, his behavior feels clean. He does not rush to fill silence. He does not over-explain simple things. He does not constantly seek confirmation that he is being liked. Instead, he moves with a kind of internal stability that doesn't depend on immediate feedback. That stability is what reads as confidence, not loudness, not dominance, but ease. On the other hand, insecurity shows up in ways that many men don't even realize are visible. Over-texting without direction, over-adjusting opinions just to avoid disagreement, trying too hard to keep conversations alive when they are naturally fading. These are not just habits, they are signals. And those signals tell a story faster than any words you use. What's important to understand is that women don't analyze this consciously all the time. It's more instinctive. She feels whether your behavior is centered or scattered. She senses whether you are leading yourself or trying to be led by her reactions. And that feeling determines how she positions herself around you. This is why two men can say the exact same thing, but be received completely differently. One carries certainty in his behavior, the other carries doubt. And attraction doesn't respond equally to both. So when I say behavior reveals everything, I mean your consistency, your reactions, your timing, and your restraint all speak louder than intention ever will. If you learn to observe your own patterns, you start to understand why she responds the way she does without needing to guess. 3. Women respond to emotional presence, not performance. Emotional presence, not performance, is what actually holds attention in modern attraction, and this is where many men unknowingly start acting instead of connecting. Performance is when you are trying to be interesting. Emotional presence is when you are actually present in what is happening between you and another person without forcing direction or outcome. When a man performs, there is always tension underneath it. He is thinking about what to say next, how to keep her engaged, how to avoid awkward pauses, how to make himself appear valuable. And while none of that is said out loud, it shows in the way he communicates. The energy becomes slightly rushed, slightly controlled, slightly planned. But emotional presence is different. It is slower, more grounded, and more responsive to the moment instead of trying to control it. It allows space for silence without panic. It allows reactions without over-explaining them. It doesn't feel like chasing approval. It feels like sharing space. What men often miss is that attraction is not built through constant output. It is built through emotional calibration. The ability to stay steady when things are uncertain, to listen without trying to impress, to respond without trying to dominate the interaction. That is what creates a sense of depth. Women pick up on this very quickly. Not because they are analyzing every detail, but because emotional presence creates a different experience in conversation. It feels safer, more natural, more engaging without effort. And ironically, the less you try to perform attraction, the more space you create for it to actually appear. So instead of asking, "What should I say next?" the more powerful question becomes, "Am I actually here in this moment? Or am I trying to manage how I am perceived in it?" Because the answer to that question changes everything about how you are experienced. 4. Mixed signals are usually hidden clarity, not confusion. Mixed signals are usually hidden clarity, not confusion, and this is where a lot of men waste time trying to decode something that is actually already being communicated very clearly through behavior. The problem is not that the message is unclear, it's that many men prefer interpretation over acceptance. When someone is genuinely interested, the pattern is consistent. You don't have to chase consistency. You observe it naturally. There is responsiveness, there is effort that doesn't feel forced, and there is emotional engagement that doesn't disappear and reappear without reason. It feels stable, even if it's subtle. But when interest is low or uncertain, what shows up is inconsistency, delayed responses that aren't followed by re-engagement, conversations that start with energy and slowly lose direction, moments of warmth that don't develop into sustained connection. Instead of reading this as mixed signals, it's more accurate to see it as uneven investment. What many men do at this stage is overanalyze every shift. They try to find hidden meanings in pauses, excuses in distance, or deeper intention behind basic disinterest patterns. But attraction doesn't usually hide itself in complexity. It tends to reveal itself in repetition. The real skill here is not decoding signals endlessly, but recognizing patterns early. Because when someone is genuinely aligned with your presence, you don't feel like you are constantly trying to stabilize the interaction. You don't feel like you are pulling clarity out of silence. So what looks like confusion is often just inconsistent interest being interpreted through hope. And hope in dating is not the same as evidence. Once you start seeing behavior as a consistent language instead of random signals, you stop turning uncertainty into meaning. And that alone saves you from investing in situations that were already telling you the truth from the beginning. 5. How to read what she is actually showing you. How to read what she is actually showing you becomes much clearer when you stop focusing on isolated moments and start observing patterns inside real relationships. Let me ground this in something practical so you can see exactly what I mean. Imagine a man in a relationship with a woman who sometimes seems warm, engaged, and fully present, but at other times becomes distant, distracted, or emotionally unavailable. Most men in that position immediately try to fix the distant moments. They overthink what changed, they adjust their behavior, they try to get back the version of her that felt more connected. But what is actually being shown in that situation is not confusion, it is information. The warm moments show capacity, the distant moments show limitation. Together, they form a complete picture of emotional availability, and the mistake is treating only one side as the truth. In healthy attraction, What you consistently see is not intensity that comes and goes, but steadiness that may fluctuate slightly but never completely disappears. Even during disagreements, there is still engagement. Even during space, there is still connection. The behavior doesn't reset the relationship every few days. Now think about someone who is always guessing where they stand in the relationship. That uncertainty is not created by silence alone, but by inconsistency in emotional response. One week they feel chosen, the next week they feel optional. And instead of reading that as data, they read it as something they need to solve. What I want you to take from this is simple. You don't read what she says in the moment. You read what she consistently shows over time. Because in relationships, truth is not found in isolated emotions. It is found in repetition. And once you learn to see that clearly, you stop reacting to moments and start understanding the entire pattern. Attraction becomes much simpler when you stop treating it like something you create and start seeing it as something that reveals itself through behavior, consistency, and emotional presence. What you've learned here is not about guessing or chasing signals, but about observing patterns with clarity. When you remove performance and focus on awareness, you begin to see people as they are, not as you hope they could be. That shift alone changes how you move in relationships. Because once you can read what is being shown, you no longer need to force what was never there in the first place.